All right, well, we'll get started. Thanks so much for joining us today for the SEO Basics webinar. Um, I've got a few webinars going on at the moment, so I do think this is the right one we're doing today. But it's great to have you along, and such a vital part of, I guess, making your website successful for your business. So to introduce myself, my name is Carlos. I'm the head of customer success here. So I look after the support team. Hopefully, you've all had really positive interactions with the guys on the phones and on email and sometimes on chat. And yeah, just trying to elevate what we offer to customers in a success space. So how they can be successful on with their digital presence or the website. And part of that comes down to education, I think, because it's important that we can share our knowledge even though it's not necessarily on how to use Rocketspark's software, but it is a fine balance. So Rocketspark, we're here to provide the world's most delightful website experience for small businesses and the designers that design websites for them. So yeah, just really important to sort of emphasize what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it. So I'd love the feedback. Any comments, you can always send it through to the support@rocketspark.com. Any other webinars you'd like to see. We'll try and do some surveys as well. And a lot of this came from a large customer survey we did in the middle of the year, which just really identified that people wanted to find out how to get more traffic to their websites and be more successful. So we've got the chat that we've had a couple of people comment in there, and we've got the Q&A. So you feel free to use either of them. It's just me on today, and it is live, so I will watch those, and I've got them available to see while I'm doing the webinar to try and engage while we're doing it. I know we don't have cameras on and microphones and stuff like that, but it would be great if you see something as we're going through and you've got a question, ask it. Somebody else is probably thinking that we'll actually interrupt, we'll go through it if it makes sense, and I'll answer those as we go. So please, either in the chat, but the Q&A is probably better because the chat can get other bits and pieces in there. So at least with the Q&A, I know what I've answered and what's still to come. Well, at the end, if there's anything I've missed, I'll also refresh there as well. So the overview of today is SEO basics. So truly about beginners trying to understand just what it is and how you can, I guess, do some basics things yourself to improve your SEO or your search engine optimization. For me, one of the key things is that there's a heck of a lot you can do yourself, either for your own website or for your customers' websites. And it can make a huge difference. There is so much detail, and SEO experts have obviously got a huge amount to look for, but there is a lot you can do yourself. And it's not to dismiss what an SEO expert would do, and things like page speed scores and your search console rankings and stuff like that. But actually, let's just work on the stuff that we can do. So that's what we're all about today. Hey, Michelle, yes, the recording will be sent out. So we're trying to build, there's a web page on Rocketspark, which is rocketspark.com/customer-webinars, which has all of our upcoming webinars and recordings of our old webinars. But we will send a follow-up email with a link to that, just a reminder. But we've also got a SEO Basics download. So just like a little tool that you can use just to record some things yourselves. And it's just a little helpful tool. To the full web, that makes total sense. What we have found works and achievable for time poor businesses and owners. So that's what it's kind of about, is like, we understand that you probably don't have a huge amount of time to do a lot of stuff, but we know that there's some small things you can do. And if you can even schedule it and kind of allocate some time each month to just do a little bit, we've definitely seen that work for people. But it does take some time. Like it is investing some time to update things and keep them refreshed and up to date. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. But the main thing is that we want it to be easy. These are things that you can learn and do yourselves. Sorry, and then I can actually do that. Sorry, so this was it. Yeah, SEO basic principles. We're going to go through keywords. We're going to go through headings and paragraph text, title tags and descriptions, different content. So we're looking at blogs and landing pages, internal links, and then again, those blogs and landing pages. We'll mention Google My Business, and then we'll have that sort of Q&A session. So what is SEO, search engine optimization? So I'm sure that there's probably somebody on the call that may not have known what it was. The way I like to refer to it is optimizing your website for search engines, because otherwise search engine optimization is kind of like, am I trying to optimize Google or something? But actually what you're trying to do is optimize your website so that search engines know what they're looking at and know what to recommend to people. Um, I'm half Portuguese, so I think of it like a breathtaking paella, but this one has over 200 ingredients. And so, as I was saying about SEO experts, there is so much. And if you were to Google it or ask a AI tool like ChatGPT about it, there would just be so much. And you probably end up saying, actually, just break this down into the basics for me. And that's what we're trying to do today is say, well, actually, what's the biggest chunk of stuff that you can do to make an impact? And I actually think that the stuff that we're going to talk about makes the biggest chunk of impact, along with some other little things. And then it's the sort of maybe the top 10% or 20% that when you're getting into the real detail, or if you're trying to make that little bit of difference against competitors. So yes, there's so many factors that go into it. But the other thing that's happened recently is, I think it was in August, Google did a big update around search engine optimization. And a big thing was around the quality of your material and that it's meaningful. And what that's kind of done is I kind of cat amongst the pigeons a little bit. We've seen a lot of websites change ranking. Even the Rocketspark website changed sort of ranking a lot. And what it means is that actually the effort you're putting in as an individual makes a huge difference. No longer can you just be a large company just pumping out more and more pages or more and more bits. It actually has to be meaningful to make a big difference. So I think you've got a great opportunity here as well. Um, yeah, cool. Let's move forward. So the first section that we're going to look at are keywords. And why this is important is that everything that we do from here, you'll be wanting to think about these keywords. And so what are keyword phrases? Keywords are the words or phrases people type into search engines when looking for businesses like yours. So what's important here is that you start getting into a mindset of thinking of what somebody who doesn't know who you are or doesn't know your business is going to be searching for. It's all good and well that I could have Carlos's Carpets as a business and I put all my keywords as Carlos's Carpets. But if somebody's already searching for me, they'll probably find me. What I'm looking for is somebody that's looking for a Persian rug maybe or something like that. I'm trying to find the words and phrases that people are using to find a business like mine, not just using my business name necessarily. Unless your business name like mine, as the example I gave had carpets in it, but it's probably still a little bit limited. Your text versus search phrases. So, things like I was using an example with like a Cambridge physio, and you can have things like health and fitness and well-being and so on, and then Cambridge physio or Cambridge physiotherapy, injury rehab, Cambridge. It's just changing a little bit about what you're thinking people are searching for. And in this example, this was really regional. So this was saying, I want the word Cambridge in those keywords because that's what somebody is searching for. Or if they're not typing Cambridge, Google knows where they're based. And so they're going to give them local search examples first up. What's important about this as well, and I don't think I go through it later, is that Google is working for the searcher. They're not working for you as the business. And so they're not going to be used. No one will search on Google if they don't get a valid response that's actually positive and meaningful to them as a searcher in like the first couple of options. Otherwise, you would say, well, every time I search on Google, I don't find what I'm looking for, and that's no good. So they truly want to take the search query that somebody's done and actually give them a result of a business or a website that truly is going to match what they're searching for. And so this will come into everything that we talk about around content and making sure that you've got the right content to show Google and other search engines like Bing that the content on your website is valid, that it's not just a bunch of keywords on one page like that are used 50 times. It actually is meaningful, and this is going to be the best result for that person. So in this section, I just kind of want to get you starting to think about your potential visitors and what they might be searching for. If you want to put something in the chat or kind of mention, or if you're getting a bit stuck, put it in there. We can have a talk about it and try and see what some of those phrases might be. But think about yourself searching. What are you looking for? How are you typing that in? And then think about your content based on that. Cool. Let's move on. So keywords examples. So this was an example I did. The business that I'm going to prompt here or show you is a business I made, which is a sandwich business, like a lunch bar or a sandwich bar. And so I thought I would do a search. We're based in Cambridge, so I did a search just with sandwich. And what was interesting is I kind of had a look. There were some places, but which was not too bad, and it gave me some things. And when I started looking at websites, all I started getting was BBC Good Food and Delish and different companies with recipes and so on, but nothing that was actually targeting, say, the word sandwich from a like a lunch perspective or something like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then what I did is did another search for the word Thai, thinking about, say, Thai food. And what was interesting about that is that all of a sudden I started getting Thai food in Cambridge as well as some other things. So I was actually getting recommendations for websites of businesses that had Thai as a food option. And I know that may not be the greatest example, but it's just showing you that somebody can have a lunch bar or a place to get a sandwich in an area, but if they're not using those keywords that somebody's searching for, then it won't actually matter when somebody does that search. So, sorry, I'm just checking my notes as we go through as well. Yeah, so quite good to remember this as we go through. So thinking in your head, okay, I've got some keywords that I might be thinking about. Is that what people are searching for? And then later on, we're going to talk about landing pages. And this is where we can probably get some of those keywords being used as well. So you take a moment to think of your keywords and what they might be. I'll even jot them down if you've got a piece of paper. As I said, we will have a download that just has some fields and prompts to say, what are your keywords for this page and what would your phrases be and things like that. So we can use that as well. So let's have a look now at how we're going to put those keywords, those phrases and words that people are searching for into headings and paragraphs. So once you know your keywords, it's important to use them in key areas of your website. The main thing, the one in particular that people talk about is your H1 heading. And so your H1 heading is what Google looks at for that page to say, what is this page about? And so what we say is that your H1 heading should tell Google what you do or what this page is about that's related to what you do. So for instance, you might be an accounting firm and you might say, well, it could be bookkeeping as a keyword or accounting or financials, those sorts of things. So what are the keywords? And then what do you do? And how do you incorporate those keywords into your H1 heading so that Google can say, what is this website about? It's about accounting. That's great. And then the paragraphs, so the blocks of content should express what makes you different or why somebody would use you. So Google knows now that, yes, you're an accounting firm, but you might say in your paragraphs that we're a family-run business or we specialize in this area. And that's going to help Google to say, oh, okay, so this is a little bit more rich than just accounting. And actually, if somebody's doing a broader search, or sorry, not a broader search, a more specific search, so we call it a long tail SEO, where they might type in accounting services for a farming business. And so you might have accounting services in your heading, but then in your paragraph, you might talk about supporting farmers in the Waikato region or something like that. And Google's going to use all of that to get a sense of what this is about and are you a good recommendation for this searcher. So let's have a look at some examples. So this was a test site that I did, and the business was called Senhor Sands, which is Portuguese for Mr. Sandwiches. And I've got a sandwich business. And so my H1 heading is Senhor Sands, and if you fancy a bite, why not try it today? And so automatically, now that we're thinking about keywords and so on, if somebody's already searching for Senhor Sands, then they will find me. I'll have my Google My Business probably done, which we'll talk about later. I've probably got the name of my business throughout my site, and there's probably not many other businesses named that in this area. So they'll find me, but actually, if they already know who I am, I don't really need to target those people because they're going to find me. What I want to target is people that don't know who I am. And then also this, if you fancy a bite, why not try it today? So that's fine, like as a catchphrase, but it doesn't tell Google very much. It doesn't tell Google where we're based because it's going to be a location-based business. It also doesn't tell them what we do or why we're special. Like it doesn't say that we specialize in the freshest organic ingredients or that we have 100 different styles of sandwiches. So there's no keywords that we've talked about in that heading. Let's have a look. I think I've got the next page as some examples. So this was another example of doing that heading. And this was a little bit wordy, but I'll have a play with this to show you how we can adjust it. But enjoy fresh, healthy, and delicious lunch sandwiches at Senora Sands. So we've got fresh, healthy, delicious. I thought lunch was quite important. You know, that's the target market we've got. Sandwiches is a key word. And so that was really positive. What I'm going to also show you now, and it's kind of doubling up a little bit, but when I go into the editor and I look at this, obviously I can change this. But what we've got, and hopefully you've had a chance to use it, but we do have Flint, which is Rocketspark's AI writer. And if you've got this set up, then it will already be here like this. If you don't have it set up, you can just toggle on this lightning bolt and it'll take you through a few steps to set up your tone of voice for your business so that it writes correctly for you, and then it's embedded forever. And so what we can say is that actually I'd like to just auto write this, and because I've got my tone of voice set up, it's going to just take what's there and rewrite it. So let's just see what happens there. Savor, taste, wholesome lunch sandwiches at Senora Sands. So that might be quite good, but maybe I'm thinking, oh, that's not quite got my keywords. And maybe you think, actually, that's not what I want at all. So I'm going to cancel that and keep what I've got. The other way you can use this, and this is helpful because you've got your keywords and you want to incorporate them. So actually, let's go back one to show you how this will work from maybe an example that's not so great. And we're going to say, rewrite this heading to be well suited for SEO and Google searches. And so I'm trying to kind of teach and show you here that if you're worried that actually this is about being creative or I need to somehow be a marketer, there are some tools and ways that it can help you through it. So I'm going to say rewrite this heading to be well suited for SEO and Google searches. I'd like to include my keywords, which are lunch, sandwiches, fresh, ingredients. And I'm going to say, I think it was Greytown that I was using, Greytown, because I'm a local business. I'm trying to target people from Greytown. Now you can also try and make it like what you want. So I might say, wants the heading to be catchy and a bit funny. So I can do that, and let's just see how we go. I haven't used this site for a little bit. Bite into bliss, fresh lunch sandwiches in Greytown. Perfect. It tells Google what we do. As I said, I made it a little bit funny and tried to make it captivating. It's kind of done that with bite into bliss. May not be quite the words, but again, once you've done that, you could auto to try and get another version. You can then go back, and then you might even say, I'm not so sure about bite into bliss. Could you rephrase that? And then you can also actually just change bits. So I can just highlight bite into bliss and go auto, and it's only going to try and change that. So now it's given us another example, savor the joy. So when we think about what we've talked about already around keywords and SEO, this is just that example of how do we get those rich words into this? And when I talked about H1 heading, just so you know, we've got this H1 here. And so as long as you've got one of those on your page, you should really only have one. If you have more than one, then Google's looking at all your H1 headings and thinking, well, this is a bit confusing. I'm not sure which one is telling me about this page or what this is about. So let's have a look at the other example that I had for the paragraph text. So discover Greytown's authentic Portuguese vibe at Senora Sands, for a relaxed and friendly lunch experience with our genuine sandwiches. So as you can see, compared to the other one, this is really telling a bit more of a story about why somebody would choose my sandwich business over the other text or over another business, sorry. So we're talking about where we are, Greytown. We've got our name in there, which is, it's not too bad. Relaxed, friendly. We've got the word lunch in there and we've got the word sandwiches in there. So I'm really capturing some of those keywords. So that's sort of headings and the first paragraph. And if you can, if you're jotting notes down, if you're thinking about anything, your heading should tell Google or tell people what you do. And your first paragraph should say what makes you different or why they should choose you. If you can take those, then you'll probably be on the right sort of track, is what we've found. Obviously, there's a lot more content and we can go through that as well as we go through. Any questions on that so far? I know that's quite a bit to sort of take in at the moment. We've gone through your keywords and headings and paragraphs. Just if there's anything, put it in the Q&A, or even if you kind of think it's all right, just give us a thumbs up so I know that I'm on the right track. Even if you need me to slow down, or if you're happy that we can speed up a bit. Actually, I'm just going to double check my notes as well. Yeah. Delicious. Yeah, delicious. Perfect. So title tags and meta descriptions. So now that we've got our keywords and headings and paragraphs, you may have heard of title tags and meta descriptions, or you're thinking, why does this matter? So what are title tags? Website title tags are HTML elements. So they're bits of code in that page that define the title of the web page. So we've got a couple of examples coming up, but if you can imagine your tab, if you're looking on your browser right now, there should be a tab at the top and it should have like a little icon and the word or a title in there. And that's the title tag of the page. And search engine results show this. Your browser tab and social media previews also show this information. And why this is important is that this doesn't necessarily have to match your H1 heading, which is what would generally happen is Google or your browser would just take some content from your page. So this is you being able to really specify that title. And the description is also a piece of HTML, so some code on your site that provides a brief summary of your web page's content. Again, there's an example below, but this ticket typically appears in a search result. So what we can see here, I've used the Rocketspark one, and we've got Rocketspark : website builder New Zealand pipe web design. And that's our title tag. But as you can see on the Rocketspark website, this does not match our first heading and our paragraph. And then when we've got this description, this also doesn't match. And because what we're trying to do here with this title tag and this description is present to a searcher something in a much shorter format to encourage them to click on your website. So you've probably seen some of this when you're searching and you've gone, oh, that sounds exciting, or that's exactly what I want, because this title tag is just really on point with what you're searching about. So that's why this is important. We need to get that in a way for each page that you've got that represents that page and is going to make somebody click your website over somebody else's. So let's have a look at another example. And so here I've searched Rocketspark. We can see that. And I'm just pointing out, so this icon here is called your favicon or favicon. I've heard it both ways. And this also, if you look on your browser at the moment in that tab, you'll see there's a little image on some of your tabs, or they should all have them. And that is what that image is. And it also appears here in search results. And this is great and really important for when somebody's searching, they might know your brand, or they might choose yours because it's got a brand or an icon there that's more appealing. So it is really important for your brand. And then there's this title tag and there's the description. So let's have a look at, no questions there. I don't see anything coming through. Let's have a look at adding a title and a description to your page. So we'll use this page here. So let's assume this is a home page for my site. And what's happened here? I'm just, sorry, let's just tidy this up so I can get my colors here. That's right, just looked a bit odd to me there. So let's use this page. So one of the easiest ways to do your title tags and descriptions can be using Flint. So Flint, we've talked about with the AI writer, also has a section for SEO. So on any page, you can come up to the top right and click on the lightning bolt, and you can go to SEO helper. And so what we can see here is that this is helping us to guide us through. So this is saying targeting searches for lunch, sandwiches, Greytown. So those are the key words effectively that I've chosen for this. And you can see that there is set up title tag. And so in here, we can set up the title tag. And so this is saying lunch, sandwiches, Greytown, pipe, Senor Sands, so my business name. And that's usually good practice, is having what this page is or what your business is about for that page, plus your business name. And so now that's what's going to present in Google. And then we can see the write a description tag. And so Flint actually writes this for you the first time, and then you can edit it if you want. So this says, describe a Greytown's favorite lunch sandwiches at Senor Sands, your local sandwich bar since 2002. We've got the perfect pick for your midday meal. And so very different to the content that we would actually have on this page, which would probably be more about maybe the ingredients we use. So once somebody's Googled us and got to us, it's about how we're going to convert them and make them use your call to action. So it could be coming to your restaurant, calling you, filling out a form, those sorts of things. So that's one of the easiest ways to get sort of a guided prompt and move along. But also what it does is as you complete this, you would have seen at the top that we get a page score. And so this is just really helpful for you because you can check whether you've got everything covered. And so the one area that we're kind of missing is the keywords on the page. So this phrase, exactly, lunchtime sandwiches, Greytown, hasn't been included here in that exact way. And so if we were to come in here, and now it's edit it and go save. Oh, actually, that's still hasn't come up, but we can just continue adding that to our page. It'll start picking that up. Oh, it'll be interesting if that's a bit of a bug, but let me just double check that. I think because I've done this site before for this webinar before. So, but that will start slowly showing, and then this will complete the circle. And what you can do is when you come to your managed pages, what you'll find is that you'll also see this indicator in your managed pages, and it can be a great way to just have a glance across all your pages and say, is my SEO right? Is it up to speed? Also, because you can come on your pages and make changes to the pages, and you may inadvertently change that SEO score. So being able to do that, and you can also come from here and edit it. The other way you can do this, if you haven't used Flint before, you can come to your Get Found SEO section, and you can see here that we've got like a simplified format of this where you're not being prompted and supported or getting a score. But let's have a look if I've got it here. Oh, this one here. So this is the one. This is the page that I've done by Flint, and as you can see, I need to continue using Flint for that. But when I've got a page that hasn't been done with Flint, we can actually just add this in manually. So we can create our title, and so I'm going to say lunch sandwiches. We can see our company name at the bottom, and it says to append the title, and you can put it to the right or the left, or don't add it. Then you can add your description, and you can see you've got a character count because obviously those Google search results are only very limited. And then you can use keywords. So you can put a list of keywords here. So this could be lunch, sandwiches, fresh, those sorts of things. So you can add that there. And what's great about this, and actually it was on the other one, is that you can view that Google example. So we can see here that when somebody searches for us and this gets updated by Google, this is what they're going to see. And so you might go, well, having this here is very limited. I need something that's going to be a bit better than that. And that's why Flint can be powerful, because it will actually write that description for you in the first instance. So if we go back here to edit with Flint, we should also see, if I get the right place, choosing your keyword phrase. Yep, that's all there. Oh, and it did pick up that phrase that I put in. I think I just broken it a little bit. So just to recap on the title tag and meta descriptions, you can do it in two ways. You can come to your Get Found SEO page, or you can click on the lightning bolt from your managed pages or the page itself. And what you want to do at the end is get yourself into a point where you've got a title tag that's going to encourage somebody to click on your link and a description that also outlines that if they need more information. So let's just jump back to where I was, just here. Any questions on that? Or everyone okay? That's not too bad. Hopefully not too much together. Cool. So the next part is around internal links and buttons. So if you can imagine, we've got our keywords, we've added those into our headings and paragraphs. We've tried to use them throughout the page, and I'll kind of go through that a little bit more. So that's now getting quite rich. We've given Google a title tag and a description to present for us, and now searchers will be encouraged to click on our return Google search. Now what we're going to do is sort of getting into a bit more detail. And so one of those is actually with links. And the reason that this is important, so an internal link, a hyperlink. So like this one here, if I hover over it, it's usually a different color and it usually gets underlined so I can click on that. They connect different pages within your same domain, so within your website. I'm just going to quickly check this question. Thanks, Nadina. Yeah. Yeah, that is a really good point, and it shouldn't sound too obvious. In fairness, the Rocketspark Flint is getting an update. And so at the moment, that keyword phrase has to be exactly as it was written. So lunch, sandwiches, Greytown, to be picked up for the score. But actually, in fairness, I think it does it 3 times on the pages of that sort of best practice. You should be able to use any of those keywords in any place. So they shouldn't have to be in that exact phrase, but then obviously you don't get that full green circle score. But you're bang on. What I said at the beginning with those changes that Google made is that it has to be genuine. If they can see that you're just putting keywords and it doesn't make sense and it's not really meaningful, then it probably won't do anything for your ranking. I don't think it'll do anything too bad. In the olden days, people would put their keywords as the same color as their background and put it on 100 times and things like that. But Google will absolutely downrank you for things like that. So you want it to feel genuine and look genuine on the page. I'm just having a look at Lee's comments here as well. Yeah, you're right. So Flint, it does only cover that one keyword phrase, and that's where it's a bit limited. Like it's a great starting point, and if it's going to get the main thing and give you a score, and you know that you've got your title tag and your description done, that's great. But absolutely, you want to have those words like fresh, organic, family owned, and out them in. I'll put them in. I think that's probably so. Yeah, you absolutely want to put those in. But again, it should feel natural. It should feel like it's supposed to be there, and it shouldn't be overdone. It should be a really nice balance of that. But I would definitely be looking to get those keywords, up to 3 times on the page, but also not to go overboard. You shouldn't have 20 keywords for a page because then you're trying to target everybody. And actually, there's a good example that we had with a company. Let's say you sell shoes. The search word shoes might get 50,000 searches a month in New Zealand. And so you think, oh, great, that's the search word I want to really hammer, and I want to put that throughout my site, and that's fine. The issue with that is that there's major shoe companies that will also be doing that. And so their reach is probably bigger. They're probably spending marketing spend on that keyword. And so that's quite challenging. But also, of those thousands that are searching for the word shoes, they're not all necessarily looking to buy shoes. They could be doing research projects for schools, or they could be looking for pictures of shoes. There's 100 reasons. If you were to focus on the keywords or the key phrase, women's running shoes or something like that, or comfortable running shoes or marathon running shoes, something like that as your keyword or your key phrase that you're looking at, then yes, you might only have 1,000 people searching for that a month, but now all of a sudden your page and your website is talking to somebody that's a real target market that's probably trying to buy shoes for running or for a marathon. And all of a sudden they've found your page and Google's recommended it because you've actually got this content. It's not generic. So absolutely, Lee, put those in there, get them through, and hopefully Narina that sort of covers that as well for you. That Flint's just a good starting point. So let's look back at these hyperlinks. So just a reminder, hyperlinks look like this. Search engines love links between things. So we've kind of focused on the homepage at the moment and getting all that up to speed. But now what we want to look at is, well, where does your homepage link to? And if it's linking through to another page, how does Google know about this? And what is Google looking at? So Google does love, if you've got a homepage, and let's say in my case, it's around sandwiches, and then we want link off to maybe the different types of sandwiches that we offer. Or if it's too busy, the homepage talks about running shoes or all the types of shoes you want, but then it links off to running shoes or walking shoes or casual shoes. Then Google's looking at saying, oh, okay, this website's about shoes. So great if people are searching for shoes. But if somebody's searching for running shoes and I see that there are links to another page that's about running shoes, all of a sudden Google's saying, well, actually, you might be the better recommendation here because you're better suited to this really specific search inquiry that somebody's done. And with these links, it's important that the text is right as well, because it's also telling Google a story. So when we look at this, we see that your pages are properly linked. The crawlers, so what Google has is these robots that are going through and looking at all your websites all the time, so that they can effectively explore your site and understand the relationships between pages. These links allow you to use like anchor text, so what the link name is. So looking at this one that says hyperlinks, and include targeted keywords. So if you can imagine a keyword like fresh or organic standing by itself, yep, valuable, that's great. But if you had the word organic ingredients and that was a hyperlink to another page, all of a sudden these crawlers and Google are looking at it and saying, oh, great, I see you've got this keyword and phrase, but actually this is telling me to go through to another page. And when I go there, I get all this rich content about organic ingredients or the type of sandwiches you've got. It's now saying, well, actually, this is better. And what happens is by linking a higher ranked or authority page, so let's say your homepage is ranking really well, by linking from that page to one of your other pages, this other page sort of gets some of that goodness as well. And so it means that they're kind of feeding off each other and it's helping Google to say, this is actually better. Let's recommend this site for these searches. So let's just have a quick look at maybe an example of what that could be. So I can see here on my homepage, I've got this all set up and I'm saying what we offer. And I'm saying we offer breakfast sandwiches and classic Portuguese sandwiches and vegetarian and vegan sandwiches. And I've got the words click here. And so, yes, this link is going to take us through to a page about my breakfast sandwiches. But the issue with it is that it just says click here. So yes, there's the goodness of the page that it's going to, and there's some stuff in that. But we can tell Google what this is, and we shouldn't be using the word click here. We should be using something else. So in this case, what I could actually do is I could change the heading of breakfast sandwiches to be a link to my breakfast sandwiches page, which would be one way. Can be a little tricky for somebody to know that that is what's happening. And so I could change this here and say, okay, I'm going to edit this link. If I click on the right things. And we can see that it's got the click here. So we can say, view our breakfast sandwiches. So now we've got the keywords in here. We're also telling people to view them, and that could be really a way to better inform them. The other thing we can do is we can add a button. So the button text is able to be read as well, and we can say breakfast sandwiches, take that to the breakfast sandwiches page and add that. And what that means is it's probably just a little bit more evident, of that you should click this because it has a hover over effect and it's telling people to actually click it. And so when you're looking through your site, if you've got, and it can even be inside here, like you might say, like breakfast sandwiches here, and you might have a link. And sometimes people will write, start your day with one of our freshly made breakfast sandwiches. Check them out here, and then they'll make the here the hyperlink. Again, this isn't telling Google a story about what's going on. Yes, the content's there and there is a link, so it is linked, but it would be better if that text was captured as well. So that's what we're kind of talking about with hyperlinks. Just having a look at this page as well, now that we know a bit more about headings, paragraphs, and links and stuff on our page, and even buttons, it's just important, like when we look at those keywords, just because we've got our heading and our first paragraph right, we need to have a look through and we need to go, okay, are we capturing those keywords as Lee had mentioned? Are we capturing those keywords throughout this page? Is it telling that story? Is it showing why choose us? We're committed to our fresh, locally sourced ingredients, sandwiches, dedicated services even in there. So really important. We've got our step-by-step, even things like this mouth-watering and friendly and things like that, it all could be part of people's searches. So all really important. Let me just make sure I've captured most of those. Yeah, perfect. I don't think there's been anything else. Just answering those questions off. All right, so now let's have a look at blogs. So I said it right at the beginning that actually content is such a key part of this, is that if Google's searching your site and it was a one-page site with just a homepage, it's only got so much value and it's quite limited. Even if you put a bit of content on there, it is limited to show that you are a viable or a really valued search result for searchers. And why blogs can be so valuable is that you get to answer specific questions. So for instance, if we take the running shoes example again, it might be saying somebody might search for something like how to care for your running shoes. And that person is probably going to either be a purchaser now or maybe in the near future. And if they see your website and they come to it and then they get an opportunity to see that you've got shoes on sale or there's a banner saying that you've got free shipping or something, they might actually find you via one of these questions or one of these other searches like blogs. And also Google's going to use this richness as well. So somebody might be searching for quality running shoes, and you might have a blog about how to buy the best running shoes or how to choose the best running shoes. And Google's saying, okay, your homepage says you're about shoes. You've got a link to a running shoes page. You've also got this blog that your running shoes page linked off to as well around how to choose the best running shoes. You are by far one of the best results for this person that's searching for this because you also are based in their local area and you have a shop in their local area. So blogs are a way to add a lot of content to your site relatively easily. It doesn't have to be a fully fleshed out web page. It can just include an image and text, and it doesn't always have to be too long. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but actually what Google recommends for blogs is not actually a huge number of words. I think it might be 500 or something like that. So adding fresh content, you give search engines more to index, so more to find out about you, which helps you rank better. Blogs also let you naturally use keywords. So for instance, from what we had the question earlier, how do we get more of those keywords in without it not being natural or meaningful? And potentially customers aren't always just looking for products or services. And this is a great way to get them to find you and learn about you, sign up to a mailing list maybe, or even buy that next product. Cool. So the next one is landing page. We're talking about content, and we've mentioned this a little bit around the linking off. But one thing I find is that this is really limited. Quite a lot of websites will have a homepage, maybe the services they provide, projects, contact us, the shop, those sort of standard things. But landing pages will give more focus to products or locations or services. And when Google is looking, if they can find all of these and there's links to all of these, and actually there doesn't always have to be a link, it's still on your domain, it's still crawled by the Google or Bing search robots, and it is all content. So landing pages focus on specific products or services, making it easier for search engines to understand and rank your content. Um, well-optimized landing pages can target like even just words or relevant traffic or guide visitors towards taking an action. What I would say to you to really simplify this is think about, depending on your business. So if you're a service-based business, and let's say it might be a plumbing business, and let's say it's in Cambridge, they might say, yeah, we're a Cambridge plumbing business. And so on their website, the word Cambridge is there quite a bit, and that's fine. And you might even have in your footer on your contact us page that we service Cambridge, Te Awamutu, Morrinsville, Matamata, Otahonga, whatever it might be. But actually thinking about creating a landing page for each of the regions or towns or villages that you service will mean that Google's going to see those as you actually provide that service there. You get to have those keywords of those places. So for instance, they might say plumbing and gas fitting in Te Awamutu. And so there'll be a page called Te Awamutu Plumbing or Plumbing and Gas Fitting. And then on that page, you can have a picture of the team. It might be a picture from Te Awamutu. And then you can say, we provide plumbing and gas fitting services in Te Awamutu. Use us because of all these great reasons, family run, great satisfaction, and so on and so forth. And even some specific details around Te Awamutu. So that's now created a great landing page. And then you can actually just clone that page and say, now I'm going to make one for Morrinsville. And yes, I'm going to change the word Te Awamutu for Morrinsville, and I might try and make some more specific things if I've had a job there with a picture from Morrinsville to make it meaningful. But effectively, if you provide services in those areas and you're targeting people in those areas, there's no reason why you can't have a page for that. And the same thing for your products. Or your services. So if you've got shoes, having a page for running shoes and having a page for walking shoes and having a page for comfort or sneakers, all of those things are really important because now it's showing Google that yes, you're a shoe store, but you've got these specialties and you've got these areas of focus. And the same with services. So if you're an accountant and you're saying we've got bookkeeping services, maybe you provide help with wills or something, or business finances or rental accommodation finance services, having a landing page for each one of those is going to really help for Google to get this big picture of you. And when people are making those specific searches, they're going to be able to recommend you. So I would definitely recommend looking at creating landing pages. And as I mentioned, small chunks. If you could set a goal for yourself to say, I'm going to do one of these things each month, then between now and in a year's time, you'll have 12 blogs or 12 landing pages. And that's going to be a huge difference to your site. And so the attachment that I'll send out, again, it's just a form basically, but it basically just prompts you along. What is this page about? What are my keywords for this page? What are my blog ideas? What are my landing pages ideas? And then you can use that to hopefully take some action and build these out. So I see there's no other questions there. Hopefully everyone's sort of happy following along. So the next thing I'd just like to mention is Google My Business. I put it as Google loves Google. Why wouldn't they? So you should have your Google My Business hopefully already, but if not, you need to own it. You need to search for yourself. If it does come up, it'll have, claim this business, or if you own this business. So the first thing is to make sure you've got it, make sure you've got the login details for it. It's a little bit weird. You don't actually have a place to log in. You just find your business. And if you're logged into Google, in your browser, and that's the login for that business, your search result will just change and it'll have all these options to edit it. So make sure you've got it. If not, claim it. You're going to have to go through some steps, perhaps. We've heard of all sorts where people will get asked to be verified. Lately, it's having to take a video of your shop or your business location and sending that through to Google. But whatever it is, you need to get that because then you can own it. The next thing is then just keeping it up to date. So making sure your opening hours are right, making sure that you've got your own description, your about us, all those things. Even the images, you can make sure that you can select the right images so that when it pops up, And what you want with your Google My Business, first of all, is that people use it to find businesses. But when they're looking for searches and they can see, this shoe business as an actual Google search result with your great title tag and your description, and then they also see that same business as a Google My Business, then they're like, oh, this is really good. I'm seeing this a couple of times. This is really valid, and I'm going to go for that one. And then the other one is getting reviews. Google places quite a high ranking, I believe, on the reviews that people leave. And so it can be a bit scary sometimes about getting customer feedback. And even though you try your hardest, there can always be somebody who doesn't appreciate something. So, but definitely getting those reviews, getting more of them, asking people for them will definitely help. And my only recommendation is if you do get some feedback that's not great or that's challenging, is to respond to it. Most people that are looking through Google My Business and finding businesses that way, and they see the reviews, generally the type of customer you want will look at those reviews. They'll generally order them from the newest ones because there's a lot that can happen. And if you're using those reviews, you're hopefully improving your business. So if they see something that's not great, or if they filter by poor feedback and they can see your response and see that it's genuine and that you tried to make a difference, and that can negate those negative feedbacks or those challenging feedback. But definitely make sure you've got yours, make sure you get ownership of it, or you can log into it if you haven't for a while and get it updated, because that's going to help. So we're at the sort of Q&A stage, and what I'll do is I'm just going to do a bit of a recap. But while I'm doing that, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat so I can ask them. And as I said, others will have them as well. But as far as takeaways from today, what you need to make sure you're doing is, what are my keywords for each page that I've got? Don't just focus on your homepage. Every page that you've got, what are my keywords? What are people searching for that I want them to see me? Have I got those keywords in my headings and paragraphs? Is my heading telling Google and people that visit my site what I do? And is my first paragraph telling them why they should choose me and buy my service or product? Then with paragraphs throughout your site, make sure you're getting those keywords in there, that it sounds natural and it's meaningful. Title tags and meta description. So for every page, the goal should be to have a title tag and a description that is going to encourage people to click on your business. So every page needs to have that. And then make sure that you've got your site tidy. So any internal links or buttons, look at those wordings. Sometimes it might just make sense that it's sort of, click here or something, but there should be somewhere it's taking you. There should be some more richness in that. And then we're looking at more content. How do I get blogs written? And remember, if there's one thing I can encourage you to do, is that you're the expert in the field that you're in. You may not always feel like it, but compared to somebody who's not working in it, you're an absolute expert. So don't be afraid of sharing that knowledge and writing a blog about what you do, or you might even use people coming into your store or emailing you, asking a question, and say, that would be a great blog. Don't overthink it, just a really simple question, and then go, I'm going to write about that, and write a description, put it in your site. All of a sudden, that's another piece of content. And then landing pages. Come up with a list of landing pages for your business, either based on locations that you provide your services or the products you have. And that could even be brands. Brand pages can be great when people are searching for a specific brand. Locations, brand pages, the products you provide, the services that you provide. And then linking to those as well. So if you've got your homepage, can you link through to those naturally? Otherwise, they can just be there, but it would be good if you could link to them. Get and own your Google My Business and make sure that's all up and running and correct. And it also has a correct website address on it as well. Leah, see what a question. Yeah, really good point. And it's still definitely in that sort of basic range, but alt text is really important too. If you can imagine, if we come back to just a general page here, Google can read all of this, and definitely with AI, they're starting to be able to look at images better. But as we well know, and here's a good example down here, I think, actually not on this page, show you. I think there was a good image here. So this looks pretty good, but when you look up close, people's eyes are really deformed and you'll end up with extra fingers and hands and all sorts. So, but so that's improving, but actually what you want to do is you want to tell the search engines, Google, Bing, and so on, what is rich about this image. So if you've got, sorry, I'm moving around a little bit. If you've got an image here and you can click on this T, you can add alt text. And so you might put sandwich, lunch, bar, people having fun, sharing lunch together. So it could be anything, but it should describe the image, but it is an opportunity for you to get some keywords into that alt text because Google will be looking at the code of this page. And if we have a look at what that looks like potentially to Google, which to you are probably thinking like this is terrible. I'm just going to see if I can find it, but oh no. There we go. So we can see here my alt text is sandwich, lunch bar, people having fun, sharing lunch together. So all of a sudden, Google's going, great, there's an image here, and actually I can see what that image is about, and that's telling me a story as well about this site. Does that answer your question, Lee? Is that helpful? Is that kind of what you already knew or were thinking? Just let me know in there or give us a thumbs up or something along those lines. So yeah, we've only got a couple of minutes left. I'll stay on the call until 11 or if there's still questions coming through. Otherwise, hopefully this was helpful. We'll send through a follow-up email, which will have the link, but it's our customer webinars page on Rocketspark. And in there, you'll find all of the past recordings and any future webinars that are coming together. There's also some landing pages of useful content.